That was Classic Heat here on the Punchline Academy, SiriusXM, Shade 45, and now my guy Craig G is one of my favorite people in hip-hop, Tone, because he brought the nip of Hennessy and met me in the lobby. And I took him down the street to get an ice cup.
Yeah, I put mine on the rocks.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right, so I think this would be a good time to kind of talk about the whole Craig G name. We was talking a little bit off air, right? So we have, because you had asked me about the Amadeuz name, right? So there's Amadeuz 360, Amadeuz BPM. Right?
Oh, there's a few.
Okay. But we also have DJ Craig G in Connecticut.
Yeah.
We have this DJ in Houston.
No, he's a rapper.
He's a rapper, the guy in Houston, right? So how does that make you feel when you see guys emulating?
The DJ dude, DJ Craig G, shout out to him. Like, we've spoken. Like and he's a DJ. So he's not, like, in my lane. The dude from Texas, he's a rapper. And we've had a conversation on Twitter in the early days of Twitter. And my whole thing is I'm still working. If you're any kind of MC and you're even Googling your name, I'm coming up. And if you do your Googles, as they say, I've been here for the longest time. So my thing is my man, like, yo, B, you gotta change your name.
Typical Queens bully fashion.
Even bully. It's just what's right is right. Yeah. Like, yo, my dude, I'm not dead. I'm here. Yeah. You hear me? Hey, hi. It's 2025. I'm here right now. I'm here. So you hear me? So change your name.
You ever get pushback though? Because I'm sure someone could be like, well, I spell it differently. So
nah, if it's not pronounced different, then you're confusing people.
Yeah, you're obviously going direct to the biting technique.
I've literally been very gracious about this, but it might be some paperwork involved shortly.
Okay.
There's going to be some paperwork.
Okay.
involved.
So anytime we've had anybody here from Queensbridge, I just had Big Twin on the show.
Shout out to Big Twin.
We have Capone. I mean, we've had
Shout
everyone.
out to Capone. Yo, I need my Akasi sweatsuit.
Yeah,
man. Fat guy.
I actually was going to wear one today. He actually had sent me one.
He's in like Costa Rica right now.
Yeah, he's chilling. He's living his best life.
Yeah.
So when anytime I ask them like, who are you looking at, they always mention you and Marley. Like always, right? So, but obviously, like you said, you were on early on. So who are the people that you were looking at to inspire you to rap?
There was a rap crew called the Sunshine Boys. Actually, one of them, his name is Barshawn. He's down with the Furious Five now. He was in the group. My man TJ Swan, not the one that passed from the Juice Crew. It was a rapper from Queensbridge. He passed recently too. He was in the group. My older brother was a rapper. His name was Spanky T. And how I started is weird. Like, they used to have this crew called a High Fidelity Crew. Shout out to Jazzy Jamel. And they did a party for my sister and left the equipment at the house that night, overnight. And I woke up one morning and I was on the turntable and I got hooked. So, like, shout out to MC Smalls from Astoria. These were the dudes in the park jams.
Okay.
Like, where soon as they cracked the mic, I usually had to go home and I would stay and get put under punishment because I wanted to see them rhyming. But as far as the MCs that are out, like Nas raised the bar, Have raised the bar, Prodigy, who was a guest to Queensbridge, but he was, technically a resident. Shout out to my man Pop. We went to junior high school together. He was on the QB Finest album with us, and he was dope. Like, he never really followed through with it, but he was like one of the unsung dudes. Core Mega. Shout out to Bar Kim. Shout out to Sudan. He was an MC. Like, these are the Queensbridge rappers that didn't really like go to the next level. Black Poet, me and him was in a rap group together. Shout out to the new Queensbridge rappers too. Like, shout out to like Piff Jones. That's my guy. My homegirl Vernon Bully. There's dudes in Queensbridge now that's rocking. I know I'm forgetting names, but my bad. Like,
I know Shooter was rocking. He passed away. But
Shooter, shout out to Shooter. Bless up. I'm missing somebody right now, but I'll get back to it. But there's a new generation of Queensbridge rappers doing their thing, and it's just like a city. So we never really went outside of our zone to get on stuff. So we was just like, that's why the sound is like it is. because we kind of like just really was insulated. Queensbridge was like its own city.
Yeah, and it preserved.
Yeah, it's preserved. Shout out to Trad, you know, shout out to all the Queensbridge rappers, man.
Shout out to my man Gaddafi.
One thing I just found very interesting is you start naming these other groups of guys that were around you.
Yeah. No, they were older.
Yeah, but they were like contemporaries of yours because they were also doing music in that sense. So I find it very interesting when we talk about the history of hip hop. You always hear about, like, you know, the guys from the Bronx, like the Cold Crush, you know, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Like, would you say that there was more groups that are unknown that didn't make it, or was it just like really like a few crews and everyone kind of made it, and maybe like a few didn't get there?
I think that like a lot of them kind of made it in a certain era where it was still experimental. Like, you know, for me to know about the Cold Crush and all of that, my grandmother lived in King Towers, which is now called, I forget, it's on 112th and Lenox. I forget the name of what they call the projects now. It was right across the street from Harlem World. And my brother used to come home with the tapes of the Cold Crush battling the Force MCs before they started singing. They were rappers. And you have dudes from like Brooklyn, like Divine Sounds. Like these dudes were legends, and they only made it past a certain point, probably because the business was terrible, you know, but there was a lot of groups. Like, I think a lot of people don't talk about Stetsasonic enough.
No, they don't know. First hip hop band,
yeah.
Stetsasonic were legends. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sally, Go Brooklyn, like these dudes. So what's great is they had offshoots. Like Prince Paul was a part of Stetsasonic. Without Prince Paul, there'd be no De La Soul. Rest in peace of Dave. But you know, you just got to do your history. I think people are lazy because everything's in front of them, but just do your history. Like, I'm sure the people I mentioned from Queensbridge probably wouldn't show up on Google, but these are the people that were around me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's interesting because me and Tone, we always have this conversation on this show that the problem is that no one documented shit, right? So we're still making rules up as we go along.
Yeah.
Would it have been somebody's responsibility, like one of the OGs, to sit down and say, because obviously not everybody was a rapper. Somebody was a manager. Somebody was a producer. Somebody was a fucking A&R. I mean, you get signed to Atlantic Records because someone brings you in who's in tune with the culture. So where did it go wrong? Who's to blame? Like, who do we say, or how can we say, let's properly document this moving forward?
I spent a lot of time in my years of not really like healing from being like a younger star, quote unquote star. It's nobody's fault. See, you got to understand, in the era we're talking, having a video camera, you had to have some money.
Yeah. No, it wasn't like no regular shit.
Yeah, yeah, that, and it probably was like the size of a Buick. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not that it's being kept from being documented. Like, people still have cassette tapes, of course, you know, but as far as like now, everything is technology just pushed everything so fast that you can forget about certain stuff. And I had to learn that myself. It's not nobody's fault. Thank God I was able to do a few music videos when it was time. Like, so it's still around there, but you know, it's not nobody's fault, really. What it is just that now the attention spans is so much out there. It's hard to
the information is moving fast.
Yeah, information moves so fast. Like, you know, there was an interview recently where, shout out to 50, he said I was like one of the greatest pure talent rappers, and the dudes on the show had no clue who he was talking about, which was hilarious. Like, it's on YouTube, you can look it up. This just happened like a few weeks ago. When he says my name, they're like, huh? What?
Who's that? Yeah.
But that's just the fact that I dropped the album November 1st called The World Is Cooked, which I feel is a great album where I'm talking about things going on in the world. That day, 30 albums dropped. 30 hip-hop albums dropped. So it's not really anybody's fault. It's just the way it moves. I wish we never had home studios. Maybe a lot of these people would not, the ones with no talent would not be.
Yeah, the watered down shit.
Yeah.
Have you ever been approached to like speak in a documentary about, you know, the early times of hip hop when you were coming up?
I've turned them down because I'm going to do my own at some point. But I did recently just talk at Rutgers University like 2 weeks ago. And, you know, we talked to the students. My man, Darby, he has a hip hop philosophy class. And it was great because, like, students, when you consider yourself a student, that means you're open to learning. Mm-hmm. The problem with the generation gap to me is people think they know everything. You don't know everything until you die. That's when you know the last thing you know. If you're not learning something new every day or at least once a week, then you're ignorant to me, because we never stop learning. You know what I'm saying? I went from flip phones to iPhones. I couldn't pick up an iPhone and be like, I know what I'm doing. I'm like, yo, show me how to do this. So that's the problem. It's like generation, I don't know what they call it now. I don't know, is it Y or B?
I think it's Z, right? It's Z.
Generation Z, y'all guys got to understand that you have to be open to learning stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's really the divide to me.
I feel like you have a very interesting perspective of the history of hip hop, and that's why you don't want to go on other documentaries and talk about it.
When I tell these stories, I don't know. I can't really. We not going. I don't really. I'm an Aries, so I don't sugarcoat stuff.
Yeah.
Some people.
So you think you might be just holding yourself back in a sense because
I just want to wait, because it's like a time capsule. You know, listen, I've put a flag. I always say, listen, I'm not a creator of hip hop. I never call myself personally a legend, but thank you to all the people that do. I just feel like I do have a brick in the wall of hip hop. Like,
most definitely.
One of these bricks are me.
Yeah.
And that's good enough for me. So I don't want to just tell the story to anyone. I want it to be...
Tell your own story.
I want to tell my own story, because now you see, as like the way it moves so fast, the history is constantly changing just because someone that really wasn't there is saying something.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah. I'm surprised we don't have like a full Queensbridge project. I mean, so many artists came for them. Obviously, they did the Roxanne Shante thing, right? But, you know, is there room for like a full documentary or a series to express or articulate Queensbridge's contribution? Because it is a heavy contribution, and you could argue that it's just as heavy as the Bronx.
Oh, it's
and I'm from the Bronx, and I'm telling you that.
Here's what's the greatest thing about that. The Bronx is an entire borough. Queensbridge is a neighborhood in Queens.
Yeah.
6 blocks, 96 buildings, 18 This is not an entire borough. Mm-hmm. So our contribution is nuts, but I think when the time comes, it'll be done.
Okay.
It'll be done. You know, shout out to Nas. We did a QB Finest album. He reached back and got everybody from the hood on a joint, and it went gold and everything. But the proper documentary, I'm pretty sure Nas at some point will probably spearhead it. I think him, and shout out to Sasha Jenkins and Mass Appeal, they'll probably do it. And I'm ready, but you know, we'll get to that. I think there also should be a Juice Crew documentary.
True. Yeah. Didn't they just do the Juice Crew? What they did, the reunion or something?
Yeah, we was at Apollo Theater. We did it. Yeah, but awesome. there should be that's going to be an interesting movie. Rest in peace to Biz. Rest in peace to CJ Swan. Rest in peace to DJ Polo. Rest in peace to IU. He was like a later member, but he was still in the fold because Biz put him on. So yeah.
Yeah, I use my man. I had so many conversations with him before he passed away. You know, he's basically on my label. You know, and he had kind of felt like the industry shunned him because of the Roxanne Shante record, and he just felt like he just never had a chance afterwards.
You know, I was on his last album. Me, him, and Large Professor was on the joint. That happens though.
Yeah, it's part of the game. Politics.
It's part of the game. Like, listen, I'm an MC. Now, I'm a huge fan of Tupac as far as making music. I never thought he was the greatest MC. But he said something on a song on the Machiavelli album that always made sense to me, and it resonated with me to this day. They're going to hate you for whatever you do.
Word.
You can give away $1 million, and someone will say, why he didn't give away $1,002,000? Once you realize that is how things work, you start to not give a shit about what people think about you. Like, you understand what I'm saying? So once you free yourself from that, it helps you creatively. When you're stuck on, they're trying to hold me back and da-da-da-da, it kind of messes with you creatively.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, it was just like at a point I just had to get there and be like, you can say whatever you want, but what I did is documented, so it don't matter. Man. It really doesn't matter.
Yes, sir. Free jewelry here on the Punchline Academy, SiriusXM, Shade 45. We about to play a classic. And then you know what time it is. My God, Craig G did not come to play no games in the left lane because the Punchline Academy freestyle is happening after
real freestyle.
this.